Hello, hello, and welcome to Talking Balls, the football show where fans have their say. This week, we'll be talking to a Spurs fan about their excellent victory against Aston Villa, a Liverpool fan to get their thoughts on that slightly high tackle against City, an Arsenal fan on whether they can hang on to the top spot, and also a Burnley fan to see if he thinks they are dead and buried. We'll also be giving you the chance to win £20 in our Score for a Score game. A bit more on that later. So first up, we're going to be discussing the big game of the weekend, which is obviously West Ham versus Burnley. So Daniel, thanks very much for coming on.
Hello. How are we doing?
Not too bad. So you good self?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm definitely good after that game. That's for sure.
Well, I was going to ask actually, as a West Ham fan, whether you thought that was a good result.
I would have took a point before, so I'm going to take a point after. For anyone to score the last-minute goal, for it to be Danny Ings, was just another dagger to my heart this season. But like I said, I'm pretty happy with the result. If anything, I think you guys should have actually won the game with some of interesting VAR decisions. But I'm not complaining. No way. After this season, no way.
Yeah. And it was quite a banger. Your opening goal was something hit.
I absolutely love Dacho Fofana. He is unbelievable. For anyone to score a goal like that, I'm not surprised it's Fofana. I'm going to miss him very much in the summer. He's a fantastic player.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, he's a player I hadn't heard of, and then when I had to look him up and then realised he was on loan from Chelsea, which is a bit of a gutting for you.
So I was very happy, and because I play Football Manager, I always sign him. I've signed him on my Football Manager for Burnley for like the past couple of years. So when I heard he was coming to Burnley, I thought I need to be a manager myself here. I know what I'm doing already. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with Dacho Fofana. Looking back on it, I'm pretty happy with the result, but shocking second half from us, and you guys really should have won that, to be fair.
Yeah, it was definitely a game of two halves. It was a bit of a crazy one. But being 2-0 up, were you confident at that point you take all 3 points?
I don't think I've ever been confident all season, to be honest. I knew that we were 2-0 up, and I thought, what is going on? This isn't Burnley. What am I witnessing? But I knew that it wasn't going to end all happy days for us. We always bottle a lead, and just like that, we did. So I knew it was coming. I just think some of the decision making in the second half compared to the first was just interesting. Our first half was brilliant, and then we went back to typical Burnley second half. I'm just surprised we actually took a point from the game in the end. I don't know how we did, but I'm not complaining. Of course, it's mental.
But you're still, I think, it's 10 points off. 10 points off safety. Do you think that it's game over for Burnley, or can they pull themselves out of
it? Yeah, it's game over. Unless, I'm not even going to say unless. Yeah, it's game over. I was going to say unless Everton and Forest do get their point deductions. But if I'm at a point where I'm having to rely on point deductions, I think it's pretty much buried, to be honest. I'm ready for next season. I love the Championship. Have a lot of fun in the Championship. So yeah, we're done. We're definitely done. I'd be very, very surprised if we somehow stay up. We'd be very lucky if we do. Yeah, it's game over, 100%.
Oh, sorry to kill your mood, mate. Apologies for that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's what it is. I'm just numb now. That's all it is.
I had to look up because I was thinking how much would Burnley spend over the summer. They actually spent 96 million pounds, just under 96 million pounds on 10 players.
Yeah.
Although I did see that those 10 players were all under 25, so it's kind of good for the future. And I think the only squad that's younger than that is Chelsea. So and obviously they're struggling as well. So do you think it's a lack of experience that you're missing?
1000% lack of experience. Even company as manager, it's lack of experience. It's all down to lack of experience. But this is a long-term goal, and since our new ownership and since company, it's always been the aim to be a long-term goal. Like you said, like our average age squad is one of the youngest in the Prem, if not the youngest. The only one that comes close to us is Chelsea, and there's a reason for that. The philosophy of the club has changed, where we want to buy young, build them up, and sell them for a much larger fee. And obviously, we don't want to be in this position that we're in the Premier League. But I think if we go down, we go straight back up. I'm more than confident on that, and I think the way the club is structured, and with us admitting that we're going to keep company even if we get relegated, I think we're on the right track for the future. It's definitely short term, it's not working out for us, but long term, we're going to benefit massively, and I know we will. It's how we work now as a club. I just wish he wasn't this bad this season.
Yeah. They're off with
Yeah,
the
it's
move, I
pretty
guess.
bad.
I was going to ask actually with company, but again, I didn't know that statement. But obviously, you've done so well in the Championship coming up. You know, blitzed it. I know it's different gravy coming up to the Premier League. I think your goalkeeper's only 20, which is really young for a first team keeper. But is he the man to kind of get you back up if you go down still?
Yeah, he is. I mean, I don't have a choice in it now, but yeah, he is. And I almost kind of want to punch myself every time I'm like, yeah, let's keep with company because of this season's been just so horrible. And I think of like, if other managers, like, I think clubs look at us and laugh. And I sort of laugh at ourselves now because of the situation we're in. But I just cannot forget what company did for us last season. It was one of the best seasons we've had. I mean, winning the championship title at our rivals' ground and to get over 100 points in the championship, it was just a phenomenal season. And not only that, I think people look at company and see is like, oh, well, all he's done is, he's just had a good championship season, when that's not the case at all. When you look at Burnley with Dash, and by the way, Dash will be the best manager ever. I'll never discredit Dash. The ownership under Dash and what Dash had to work with, we had to get very old and very experienced players with very little future. Company's come in and he's changed not just the way we play, the way we recruit, the way the club is perceived, and you can definitely see it. Like, we buy young, build them up, and sell them for a larger field. That's the aim anyway. So I think when I look at company, we want to be in the position. I don't even think we'd be in the Prem right now without company. I don't think there would have been a different manager who could do a better job than him, because what he did for the team, for the structure of our club, and outside of like the perception of the club is superb. And I think people forget that when it comes to company, of that he didn't just change like the team, he changed everything about Burnley. And when I look at that, and I think what he did for us, if we just keep that trust in him, and if we go down and it works out well again, I'll believe in him, because he's very new to management in some sense. He's not like he's had a long career in management, and Premier League, like you said, is completely different level of football. And I think we are going down now. Everyone's accepted it. We might as well go down with the man that took us here in the first place. I'm just hoping it all works out. It's a high risk with the hope of a high reward, but time will tell. Time will tell.
And who are those? You mentioned obviously those players that you think are going to turn into expensive players and be sold on. Are there any names there that come to mind?
So the first one for me is Luca Kolyosho, who unfortunately got like a injury-ending season, but we bought him for $3 million. I did not expect him to even come near the first team squad, but he did, and he was absolutely brilliant. Incredibly young player. I think he's 20, if that. And I know that our head of finances, our CFO, admitted on the radio that they value him as 30-40 million pound, and we originally bought him for 3 million. So when you look at just that single player and the profit margin our club is looking at for that single player, you think that's the sort of level that we're looking at now. Not that every player is going to sell for that much, and not that every player that we sign will end up being a profit, but that's the risks we're taking now. And I'd much rather have that sort of philosophy rather than investing in, let's say, Peter Crouch, who retires in 6 months' time, or Joe Hart, who has dinosaur hands now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's for the best. And I say probably like Wilson Odobert, who was on our wing for us against West Ham. He's only 19 and he's doing pretty well in when it comes to Premier League football, no matter what position we're in. Same with Vitinho. He only cost us $1 million. He's doing well on the winger stuff. So we've got all these sorts of different types of players. Even James Trafford, to an extent, he's doing crap right now. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But when you throw a 21-year-old who's only got League One experience to be a first team goalkeeper in the Premier League, it's never going to work out well. I think he'll do really well in the Championship. All that lad needs is a bit of confidence and he'll shine. And I think we've got players like Aaron Ramsey, who we bought, who's got a buyback clause with Aston Villa for 30 million. There has to be a reason for that. Same with James Trafford, where he's got a buyback clause to Man City for 45 million. There has to be a reason for that. So I think long term, we're in a good position. Right now, we stink, and I'm just ready for the next season. I just want to end the season now and just forget it ever happened, to be honest.
And to get your thoughts, obviously, on the game itself, do you think West Ham were lucky, or do you think that was a fair result, 2-2?
I think if it was just looking at the first half, I think I would have said, yeah, they were lucky. I think we definitely, the Burnley that I saw in the Championship, I saw like in the first half, and it was the way we played football in the first half. I was happy to see that. But I think as the game as a whole, I think if anything, we're lucky. I think we bottled it completely in the second half. Some of the substitutes and some of the tactical work was interesting, and I think there was like a shout for a handball call near the end of the game, and I watched a clip of that, and that's clear as day as handball. And I bless the gods for making sure we still got a point out of that, because I don't know how it weren't called for a handball. So I say overall, I think we were pretty lucky to get the point out of it. But I think if we was just looking at the first half, we were, well, it's why we were 2-0 up. You know, we were very good, but that's football, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say as a West Ham fan, definitely you deserve to be 2-0 up. And I say I've never seen such a contrasting game. I know the game of two halves cliche, but Jesus, we were so crap in the first half. It was ridiculous. But I don't know what's... Phillips must be the worst loan signing, or the worst signing I think we've ever had. He's just fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips is an interesting one, because I know West Ham fans here, and they tell me that Calvin Phillips is shocking. And when I think of Calvin Phillips back when he was with Leeds and like the Euros and stuff, I thought, oh, he can't be that bad. When I watched him against you lot, wow, he's a different man. I don't know what's happened to him. I think it's a confidence thing, but he's not the same player that he was at Leeds. He's been an interesting player. I'll say that. I'll definitely say that. It's interesting for him to turn out the way he has.
Yeah. It's a shadow of the player we thought we were going to get, for sure.
100%.
But the good thing is with Moyes, all he does is buy centre mid. So luckily we've got 5 replacements, because he doesn't like strikers, wingers, or
yeah, that sounds about right.
Every cloud. I've got to ask you. Obviously, I saw you. I know we've not spoken before tonight, Daniel, but I did see you on a previous podcast. Your podcast would work around. I think you had a conversation where you were saying that the title isn't a 3-horse race; it's a 2-horse race.
Yeah.
Can you share with everybody what you?
But you know what? I'll be honest. It was a little bit of a clickbait. You know, the game's a game. It is what it is. But I'm standing my ground. I still think, and I'm still adamant that it's a 2-horse race and that Man City are not in it. I'm adamant on that. I might be crazy. I might end up a 4 at the end of the season, but I don't think I will. I think I'll be bang on, to be honest. I think I just for me, I look at Liverpool, I look at City, and I look at Arsenal, and I think, what does Man City have this season that Arsenal and Liverpool don't? Because the way that Liverpool and Arsenal play this season, it's not the same level as Man City, and I'll stand by that. Arsenal, some of the results they're getting, some of the games they're playing, is insane. I don't think there's a team out there right now that has better decision making than Arsenal right now. Their decision making as a squad is insane. And I think that level alone, you know, that's it's the way they play. It's just like, I watched them against Sheffield United and I couldn't believe what I was watching. Some of the decision making in that is utterly insane. And then when we look at Liverpool, they could be playing a game and they could be playing absolute crap, and somehow they'll still get points at the end of it. And I just don't see that. Them two factors that I see with Arsenal and Liverpool that makes them shine this season, I don't see that with Man City. Man City, I'll give them credit. They do have fight, but so do Liverpool and Arsenal. I just don't see the Man City we saw last season is nothing. Like, it's compared to this season, it's just it's crazy. I don't think Man City have that drive or fight to win the league the same way Liverpool and Arsenal do, and that's why I think it's a 2-horse race. To be honest, it might be crazy, but I've said it and I'm sticking to it now.
Fair enough. Well, it's interesting. I just think City are the team that always come on the strongest. They do falter at the beginning, but they just seem to get their shit together, and they're chasing. They seem to be okay when they're chasing. They're just that sort of club.
It like every season is the same, where it's like there's always that little debate. Oh, will they do it? Will they not? And they always end up doing it. And maybe I fell for that trap this season, but it just feels like it's City, and Arsenal developed really well. Liverpool are back to the way they were. I think if Man City were to win the league this season, fair play. I'll be betrayed as an idiot, because for me, I just think it's mental. I just think the way that Arsenal are, the way Liverpool are, it's incomparable to Man City, and I've got to give both them teams credit. It's definitely going to be Arsenal and Liverpool to win the league. I'm so certain of it.
Yeah, interesting you say it, Daniel, because we've got a Liverpool fan coming up next and an Arsenal after that, so we'll get their thoughts on that. But before you go, I just want to share a comment here from Jordan that's saying, your squad is suited to the Championship. but they'll be like the new West Brom Norwich, up and down for the next few years. Your thoughts?
I've heard a couple of people say that. I can understand why they think that, but I think it'll be different with us. I do. I think with the money we invested, the type of players we've got, I think individually the players we've got, they do show that quality, they do show that promise. It's just that right now it's not working for various reasons. We'll definitely go down 100%, but I think if we come back up next season, we're staying up, and I'll be confident that we're staying up unless something drastic happens. I don't think we'll be a yo-yo club or continue to be a yo-yo club, but time will tell. I could be completely wrong, but I'd be shocked if we were with what our plans are.
Yeah. And actually, they said, and I have to agree with this one. I think the Championship is the toughest league to get out of in the world. There's, when you look at the Championship, how many of those clubs have been in the Prem? Like, it's ridiculous trying to get back in. It is so tough. But I guess you're doing it the right way, at least if you've got young players with the Premier League experience now, gelling over time, then that's probably the right way to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And that Championship, like Ashley said, it's not an easy league. And I don't want to sound like, oh, yeah, we'll just go back down and go straight back up. Nope, it's not going to be the case. It's going to be grueling. I'm going to get annoyed at it. But I think, I just think Kompany's first year in the Championship and the waves he made and the impression he made on the league, he knows how to run a team in the Championship. And I think we'll be fine if we go down, if we're under the guidance of Kompany, which it seems like it is. So I'm confident. I'm confident on the matter.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, good luck to that. And I know you mentioned there, obviously, the dubious refereeing decision. We've got a Liverpool fan on next. Daniel, thanks very much for coming on. We'll hear what Jim has to say about the high tackle at the weekend. But Daniel, thanks for coming on.
Happy days. Take care. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Okay, thanks very much. Next, we've got Jim to talk about the Doku challenge, which was a little bit suspect. Thoughts on that one, Jim?
Yeah, just a little bit. If you can karate kick players nowadays, then that must be a rule I've not heard of. I think with the pressure of the game, the intensity of the game, the importance of the game, so late on, it felt like the referees didn't even give it a second look. I think that's a mistake, a big mistake on their part. He comes in completely recklessly and clatters into McAllister. I think VAR said it was because he cleared the ball or he controlled the ball. I'm not sure where they're getting that from at all. But listen, you win some, you lose some. Liverpool got away with it a little bit against Forest, you could say, with a few of the refereeing decisions in that game, and we ended up winning the match. So it's exactly what I said last week. It's a very poor standard of officiating in the Premier League at the minute.
Yeah, it's very much a case of you win some, lose some, and it does come around, because I know you had, you definitely had the rub of the green, let's say, last week, and obviously it's gone against you this one. But do you think that was a case of the referee just bottling it?
Yeah, I think especially at Anfield when the crowd's on top of you, I think it takes a lot of balls to make a call like that in the 99th minute.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what they're paid to do. You've got to be calm in these situations and take a minute and go, actually, that was a bit of a reckless challenge. It's worth having a look at the VAR monitor on the side of the pitch. He didn't do that. Liverpool got the point, which I'm quite happy with. It's a point more than I thought we were going to get against the best team in the world, contrary to what Daniel just said.
Yeah, don't quite agree with that one. It was a bold statement.
No, not at all. It's a very bold statement. I think I'd like to know what he's smoking, to be honest. I mean, that's what a thing to say, that it's not a 3-horse race. I mean, City are favourites for the title without doubt, and their powers of recovery after they often have like a little bit of a mid-season lull, but their powers of recovery are second to none. And I'm still quite convinced that they're going to go on and win the title.
I mean, do you think you should have won that game on the balance of play, or do you think a draw is a fair result?
I think Liverpool were the better team, which it's quite remarkable to say that after the team sheets with how young Liverpool lined up and players missing, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Konate, Alisson, even Salah wasn't fit to start the whole game. I think I was very impressed with how Liverpool were able to play, and Wataru Endo as well. Just take a minute to appreciate that player. 15 million, 30 years old. What a gem Liverpool have discovered there. And I think that sort of typifies Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool with with how good the recruitment team is.
Yeah, to be fair, you have got some good young players as well coming through. So you've definitely got. I think you've got a squad probably better than you've had previously enough to kind of cope with this run-in. And it is going to be a tough run-in, but I think that's the same for all three. I think Arsenal have a really tough run-in. I know they've got City and Spurs to play. Now Spurs again were, I hate to say it, they were very good yesterday, and obviously that's going to be a bit of a cup final for them, trying to make sure Arsenal don't win it. So that's two really tough games for them. So do you think you could like go on and win it still? Do you think you've got the minerals, Liverpool?
Yeah, I think they have. It's one of them. We've played City and Arsenal twice now, so we can kind of put them to the back of our mind. And look, you're always going to be looking out for the score, but you've just got to focus on yourself. And Liverpool now have got 10 cup finals left in the Premier League. If you win them, barring Arsenal winning at the Etihad, which I don't think will happen, if Liverpool win their 10 games left, they should be champions on 94 points. That should be enough. But as we know, 97 points isn't always enough. So it's going to be, it could be another heartbreaking way to end the season. Fingers crossed not.
And I was looking at, funny enough, when I was watching the game yesterday, and for Mother's Day, I actually managed to squeeze in 3 matches, so I'd done quite well there. But when I was watching, when I was watching the City game, I thought there's actually quite a few misplaced passes. So I think I looked it up. Their average pass accuracy is 90.3% across the season, but they only managed 82% there. So do you think that was Liverpool pressing? Do you think Man City weren't just at it, or was it just being at Anfield, which is an unsettler for anyone?
Yeah, I said before the game that the biggest factor going into this match is the fact that it's at Anfield. I thought if the crowd can get on top of them early on, which they did, and sort of unsettle City a little bit. We've seen it happen over the past few years where they come to Anfield, you know, Mr. Big Bollocks, and then all of a sudden they kind of fall apart, they crumble a bit. And they have been able to get results there. They've been able to hold us back and stop us from winning games. But I think that was the biggest factor yesterday. I think if that game was played at the Etihad, I think it could have been a different result. Yeah.
And how damaging do you think that draw will be? Is that 2 points? Could that be the difference at the end?
It could be. I think if Liverpool miss out on the title by a point or 2 points come the end of the season, I don't think that's the game you're going to be looking back on. I think you'll be looking back on games like Luton Town away, and you draw 1-1 there, and you think that's a game we probably should have got 3 points from. I'm trying to think of other games. Manchester United at Anfield. I mean, they're the only team in the Premier League that have stopped Liverpool from scoring, which is incredible. So you look at those games and you think we probably should have picked up 3 points, especially against weaker opposition. But if you get 94 points and don't win the league, I don't think you can have too many complaints. You've probably got to just praise the team that was able to get 95.
And do you think it'll be Arsenal or City that will win it? Who's the favourites for you if it's not Liverpool?
It's Manchester City. 100% it's Manchester City. Like I say, they've got 10 games left. I wouldn't be surprised if they won all 10 of their games. If Liverpool do it, Liverpool edge it, which is good. But I think City are still probably favourites. Liverpool have got some tough games. They've still got to go to Villa Park, Old Trafford. We've got to play Tottenham as well at Anfield. Goodison Park as well. The derby's still on. They always like to nick a draw in that one. So you've got to be absolutely perfect from now to the end of the season. And I see City doing that maybe a little bit more than Arsenal and Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, Everton is their cup final, isn't it? Again, they'll want to stop you as much as Tottenham will want to stop Arsenal. And I guess the real differentiator for me is Haaland. Arsenal don't have that. I mean, they've got Kai Havertz. Now, I'm not a big fan of Kai Havertz, which I know the Arsenal fan coming on knows that I don't like him much. I think he's pretty much bloody useless, but typical that on Sunday. But yeah, I'm not a fan of him. What do you think of Havertz?
I'm not. I don't. He's one of those players that he pops up every now and then with a goal. He seems like quite a clutch player. You think of the goal he scored in the Champions League final. He scored a couple of last-minute winners for Arsenal this season as well. So he seems to be. He could be a little bit of like an Origi type player, to be honest, like Origi was for us. But he wasn't starting week in, week out because he wasn't on that sort of level as Haaland, or when we had Mane and Firmino, those sort of players. Um, I if Arsenal win the league, I don't think it'll be because of the difference Kai Havertz has made, like Haaland would at City.
Yeah, fair enough. And who's your next game?
Well, we've got Sparta Prague in the Europa League on Thursday.
Yeah.
We've got a 5-1 lead, so it's a tricky lead to take back to Anfield. So hopefully we're able to get the job done. No resting any players for that game at all. I want all the big guns in that one to make sure we get through. And then it's Manchester United on Sunday in the FA Cup.
Oh, okay. And what's your prediction on that one? Do you think you'll smash them?
Yeah. It's at Old Trafford, so you never know. It's an away game, the biggest rivals. Manchester United can turn up. They can turn up in any game. I'd imagine we're probably playing well enough to win, though. I think they've had obviously quite a poor season, and yeah, I think Liverpool should be able to get the job done there.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's the beauty of it with Klopp now. He's obviously won the League Cup. He's fighting in the Premier League, fighting in the FA Cup, fighting in the Europa League. You know, he's got his fingers in all the pies at the minute, and it's brilliant to see, because you'd love him to go, and maybe not everyone, but I certainly would love him to go out and win them all.
Yeah. And Lewis obviously said that Haaland's a threat that can be easily neutralised. I mean, easily is a tough one, Lewis, there, but I think he didn't really have much of a sniff in the Liverpool game. I think you bossed him in that one.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Yeah, he's not scored as many goals, but then again, he set the bar so high last season by breaking the all-time goal scoring record. He's definitely still a threat. He didn't. I think Van Dijk did well to keep him quiet yesterday, but for me, he's definitely still the best striker in the Premier League.
Yeah, fair enough. Not everyone agrees.
There you go. Some people, disagreeing with him. Yeah.
But look, Jim, I'm sure we're gonna talk. I'm sure we're gonna talk a bit more throughout the season as well in the running. It's been great having you on again. Thanks very much for popping on.
Cheers. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, buddy. Okay, next up, we are going to speak to Lewis, the Arsenal fan, just to get his take on that and hear some thoughts on their lucky win at the weekend.
One more.
Lewis.
You
all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good.
So, a jammy win at the weekend then?
Yeah, I wanted to start off by saying I was a bit gutted the weekend. I had one of my good friends asked me to go up and see it with him, and the missus invited some other annoying mates around. I couldn't go and watch it. I was stuck with him all weekend. So I was a bit gutted and watch it on TV.
Oh, poor you. How'd you do it?
I know, tell me about it. No, I thought it was a good game. I think it's games like that is what wins your titles, grinding results out, and Liverpool have been doing it for a lot of years. Most of the way through the season, last minute winners, grinding things out and just battling, really.
Yeah. But can you hold on to that top spot? I know you've just got it, so you've just pipped ahead there. Can you hold on to it for another 10 games?
I don't know. I hope so. It's difficult, saying that about Liverpool. I didn't think they looked amazing this year until the weekend. I think they dominated City. And I don't think City have looked amazing all year, but it's City, so you can never write them off. So in all honesty, I don't think it's going to come down to who's best, but I think it's going to come down to who grinds out the results at the end of it. And with 10 games left, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I think it can go anyway. I think any of the three can have it.
You've got to play. So I was looking at the fixtures, the running for all of you guys, and I do think the Spurs one is going to, if anything, it's going to mess you up. I can just see it being Spurs.
Yeah, I know, I agree. And this year as well, some of the games we've lost to some poor teams, and we drew the Spurs, and that sums it up a little bit. It's going to be a big game, and there's a couple there. They'll raise their game. I don't know if Spurs are missing a little bit this year, but we'll see. Where is it? Is it White Hart Lane or is it the Emirates? I'm not sure where we're actually playing them.
I'm not sure actually. Sure, and I'll let our Tottenham fan look that up in the meantime.
Yeah.
But
I think that'll make a difference depending on where it is. But yeah, I think we'll get. Oh yeah, and just put White Hart Lane, so that'll make a big difference.
Tough one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, a draw then at the weekend was the result you were hoping for with the City Liverpool game.
Yeah, it couldn't have been any better for us. Obviously, it's I don't know how in another draw. Obviously, that, as everyone said, it's definitely a penalty at the end. But yeah, I mean, I was obviously cheering for the draw. It couldn't ask for any more than that. Liverpool definitely deserved the win, and I think that would have actually put them in a hell of a really strong position to win the league. I think that way.
And do you think Kai Havertz should have been sent off for that ridiculous dive?
No, I think he fell. It was a bit of a tough there. I think a bit of a divot. I see him catch his foot on it, and it was just unlucky.
That's ridiculous. If you're happy to win the league by cheating, which I'm sure you are, you don't care.
Yeah, 100%. I am 100%. I mean, and listen, I know you're not a Havertz fan, but and he should have had 3 the weekend, in all honesty. But that work that he's doing off the ball at the moment, and he's making so much space for other players. I think he's been a great signing for us, and I think he'll make a difference. He's made a difference already this year, and I think he'll make a difference in the last 10 games in the running. Yeah,
sometimes players just need a move away from Chelsea. Werner's maybe a good case point for that one as well, scoring in the last 2 games. So overall, what do you think of the work Arteta has done?
I think with Arteta, you can't really question him, can you? I mean, we've been struggling the last 10, 12 years to be where we are now. We're sitting, top of the table currently this week. And I think even look for the signs he's made, he hasn't really made a particularly poor signing since he's been there. He seems to have a structure, an idea. I don't know. I can't see how he can be knocked. I know some people think he's a bit over the top on the sideline. But yeah. I think he's a young manager with a lot of feelings and probably feels like he should still be out there. And I think that's what Arsenal needed. They needed someone on the sidelines leading them rather than sitting there and, being a bit quieter.
Yeah, he's quite an intense manager. He's one of those, I think, that divides people. I say I'm not a massive fan of him as a manager, just because I think he's quite boring. There's no banter in him. I like the old school managers where there's no filter. They just kind of come out and say it, but he's very measured, very professional. Probably why I don't gel with him very well.
He's probably a bit too attacking for you, isn't he? You want a more defensive manager, really.
Yeah, exactly. we need like 8 at the back. That's West Ham style. So and if he goes on and wins the league, should Ange Postecoglou pop round his house and give him that Manager of the Year award?
I think the whole Spurs team should, in all honesty. No, I mean, separately, I think Ange is actually a really good manager. He's doing a good job there. Unfortunately, it's just Spurs. They just won't ever win anything. It's just a freak of nature that it's impossible.
All Spursy. Yeah, they are Spurs. But it looks like they will get top 4. It looks like, I mean, they absolutely, dominated Villa, who I just thought they looked like they rolled over and died. Just a shadow of themselves. It didn't look like the same team. Yeah, it was a real weird one, wasn't it, really? I mean, I had Villa down to win that quite easily, to be fair. But yeah, Tottenham dominated them from beginning to end. Ollie Watkins didn't really get a sniff. And it's a great turn for them and see where they go. It's just if they can keep beating the smaller teams as well. And they've been caught out a few times too many this year, I think. Yeah. And if Arsenal are missing, if Arsenal don't do it, because I know there's always that talk of, do they have, they are missing an out-and-out striker. Do you think that would be the difference? And that, for me, that's why I think City have that where the others don't. Like, he's always got someone who's that powerful that can get a goal. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but I think out-and-out strikers, I think, are a bit of a dying breed anyway. I think there's probably only a handful left in the world. Haaland's obviously being one and has been incredible, but there's not many others out there I could name that who would be worth spending 80 million on now to stay up front. I think there's Ollie Watkins. I think maybe if he keeps it going, will be worth up there, but he's no Haaland, is he? He's no Antonio. What's a serious phoning? I know he's not been around. He's not been around. We don't do strikers anyway. We don't need them because you have to be that half of the field to get your strikers in. Lewis, that's pretty much all I have. All the questions I've got for you, mate. So I do appreciate you coming on. We're now going to talk to a Spurs fan, so you can feel free to give him some grief in the
Yeah,
chat.
I'll be straight on it. Thanks very much.
I know just before you go, actually, Jordan did say, typical Arsenal fan, they'll end up third. City, Spurs, United away, not good fixtures.
They're not good fixtures, but I think, they're all teams are struggling. Well, City's not struggling, but Spurs I'm not too worried about. United, I think they're a bit of a joke at the moment. So
Yeah,
I think we'll be good. You've got to beat the teams to win the league, haven't you? So, I can see us doing it, but I'm not putting all my money on it right yet.
Fair enough, mate. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate your time.
Bro, here's Mike. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Okay, and actually, before we go to the Tottenham fan, I'm going to keep you on hold just for a second there. So we're just going to go to our giveaway prize. So this is something I kind of messed up a little bit last week because I didn't leave enough time for people to get their comments in. So in the score for a score game, all you need to do is to predict the results, not the result, the outcome, I should say, of the match. I'm just going to pop up there the rules for the game. Okay, so score for score. All you need to do is subscribe, and in the comments, you just need to add in whether you think Bournemouth will win, Luton will win, or it will be a draw in Wednesday's game. And because I messed up last week, I didn't give enough time for people to actually put their comments on. I'm just going to do a live draw now. So we're going to be giving away a score live. So let me bring my little ticker up here. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that. So for the people that did enter last week, we put your names and we've chucked in the guest as well here. Just while I'm in the comments there, just to double check. Can everybody see that? I'm going to assume yes. Can someone put in the comments all good? I assume it's all good because no one said no. Okay, so going to mix up the names. Just going to do a little shuffle and spin to win. So for 20 quid, that's not a fiddle, I promise you. Okay, it's a rollover. So next week, it's a £40 win. So if you put your comments in for the scores, next week you can win 40 quid. Okay, right then. Now let's get Anthony up, who's our Spurs fan. Welcome, Anthony.
Mark, how are you, buddy?
Not too bad, bud. Not too bad. So you must be quite happy after that thrashing of Villa.
Mate, I'm smiling from ear to ear. What a week to make your debut on your podcast.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping it'll be an absolute spanking. Then I can rip.
Yeah, I knew you would fully expect that and hope for that. But no, look, it was a superb game. I think probably the best performance of the season under Ange. Thoroughly professional, measured performance. These are not words you typically associate with Spurs. So I'm delighted, mate.
I must say, I did see I didn't watch the full game because obviously it clashed a little bit with the big game, West Ham, Burnley. But I did see the cross. I don't know who it was. Your right back who put in for Maddison's goal. It was a brilliant cross.
No, that's our midfield player, Pape Matar Sarr. I think he's a future star. That guy, like 21 years old. He's a future star, mate. Keep your eyes on that player. I thought, as you said, absolutely mint cross. World class, right? If that was De Bruyne, they'd be lauding it from the rooftops.
It was weird because as he was running, he looked like he kind of stumbled. So I thought he's going to just stack it, but he weren't near anyone. And you think, he's messed this up, and then he puts in a brilliant cross. I think it was just luck. I think he just swung his foot at it, and
it was just a top quality cross. I think Maddison he had three defenders around him. It had to be inch perfect, and obviously Maddison, quality baller. And to be fair, even the finish, he stuck his foot out, but he had to put the right direction on to beat the keeper as well. So and that took a lot of the pressure off, from the game. The first half was a little bit cagey, but I thought we controlled Villa. I think in the entire game they had two shots on goal. So to keep a team in such good form as Villa limit them to just 2 shots really goes to show what a measured performance it was. So yeah, and for Spurs as well, right? We don't keep clean sheets, so to get a clean sheet was an added bonus.
I mean, I was surprised how poor Villa were. Was that a bit of a shock to you?
I think there's a couple of things there, right? First off, they had a game midweek, which is, as we know, is always difficult to manage. Secondly, Emery tweaked his formation, so he played a back 5 for that game, which they don't usually play, and really was to nullify Spurs, because Spurs always have struggled with teams that put a lot of men behind the ball, pack out the defence. But I don't think it worked in Villa's case. I think it backfired because they like to play a high line, and I think that the players weren't used to that formation, so it really didn't work out for them.
Yeah, and I mean, against Son, who I've always said he's one of my favourite Premier League players. I think he's absolute class. You kind of to play a high line against him and Maddison, that's really dangerous. So I can kind of see why Villa did that, but as you say, probably, yeah, it just didn't work for him.
Yeah, and just to go back to Son, interesting stat for you, and captain, fantastic. Son been at the club for nearly 10 years now, and he's really stepped up to the plate in Kane since Kane's gone. You lose a player like Kane, who is just irreplaceable. You need your players to step up. And Sonny, to be fair to him, whenever Kane's been out injured previously, or now he's gone, he really has stepped up. He had a poor season by his standards last year, and a few of the fans were wondering if his best days were behind him. But fair play, he's really stepped up this season. He's not just a fantastic player, but his finishing is elite. If you look at the stats on how clinical Son is, he is elite level finishing, more clinical than Kane, for example. Shots to goals ratio, some of the best stats in the Premier League history. So yeah, brilliant signing. For many fans, he's their favourite player. Not just that, he just exudes confidence. He galvanizes the team, brings them together. So yeah, Son is every Spurs fan's one of their favourite players for sure. I mean, my son's got Son on the back of his new Spurs shirt, so
yeah, that
just tells you how much he's loved in this household.
Yeah, I think you bang out of order putting your kid in a Tottenham shirt. That's cruelty.
Absolutely not, mate. You got to get some young, right?
He's got no choice.
Or their heads get turned by the City crowd, or the Liverpool, or God forbid, the Gooners. Can't have that.
No, definitely not.
It'd be outhouse.
I know there's a comment there that selling Kane has got to be one of Tottenham's worst achievements, and I think everyone would have thought that. You got to think actually that is where Spurs would just go backwards. And I did manage to watch the Bayern game, and I know it's Germany, and he scored, got an amazing assist and got another hat trick. So he's bossing it out there. Not going to win anything. It'll mean nothing, and he'll probably have to return to Spurs maybe when they're doing a bit better, which it looks like they can do under Ange.
Yeah, I mean, it's mixed feelings for Kane. I wish him all the best. Yeah, some Spurs fans don't want him to win anything, but he's been with the club since he was a boy. He bled Spurs. He stayed with Spurs. Yeah, there was rumblings of him going to City. They didn't want to pay the money. More fool them. But I wish him all the best. Right, I genuinely hope that they go on and win the Champions League. So particularly if they beat City on the run in. Yeah,
it wasn't Kane an Arsenal fan though.
Absolutely not. Let's put that rumour to bed. I think basically he was wearing that on April the 1st, and he was wearing like a Gooner shirt when he was about 5 years old or something. Even his hair was all sprayed funny colour. Yeah, it was clearly a practical joke.
Fair enough. Do you think, and I don't mean this in a piss take way, you're going to take it that way, but do you think Spurs' lack of European football has helped them this season?
Look, there's a number of factors the reason why we're resurgent this season. Okay, last season was an absolute write-off. There was so much disharmony in the dressing room. Conte is clearly a very divisive manager. You see that everywhere he goes. He's elite level, very successful, but after he tends to win things, the teams crumble and he just walks away. He had a lot of things going on in his personal life as well. He lost, I think, 2 or 3 close friends didn't he, with Vialli and also his trainer at the club as well. So and he was living out of a hotel in London away from his family. So I think genuinely he just gave up. His heart wasn't in it. And there was a lot of divisiveness in the dressing room, murmurs of like he'd fallen out with Romero and loads of the other players. Quite happy to throw them under the bus. And then up steps Ange, and it's a completely different ball game. Completely different style of football, front foot football, which the Spurs fans were crying out for. Probably similar to yourselves with West Ham with Moyes. Conte he's a very counter attack manager. Obviously much better than Moyes, but most successful. But but you get my point, right? He don't like possession of the ball. It's a bit boring. It can be a bit turgid. So the fans were getting pissed off with the football as well. So Ange has come in, and it's like a breath of fresh air. But not just that, fair play to the recruitment, and you have to doff your cap to Paratici, right? The guy has worked miracles with the recruitment. I mean, Udogie, for example, brought in 20, just turned 21 years old. That guy is an absolute unit. He's going to go on to be one of the best left backs in Premier history if he sticks around. He's an incredible engine, incredible athlete, strong as an ox, and he can play football, right? So, Pape Sarr, as you mentioned, the guy that put the cross in, another very astute acquisition. And we're talking peanuts for these players, right? Both those players less than 20 million. Van der Ven, going back in time there. But Van der Ven, look, I mean, how he looks as a Rolls Royce of a defender. Van der Ven, his pace, fastest player in Prem. I don't know if it's Prem history or the last season, but he recorded the fastest speed in the Prem. But very good on the ball, very comfortable. Again, 22 years old. And Johnson as well, who's coming in and he's now starting to show why the recruitment team wanted him. I think he's hit now 4 goals, 6 assists this season for him, and he's starting to rack up the numbers. And I think with a little bit of confidence, he could be, and I don't like to say this too overly confident, but shades of Gareth Bale in Johnson. Not, I'm not putting him in that bracket yet, so I don't get too excited, but. Give him a couple of years, and I think he's going to go on to be a very, very good player.
Yeah, I do hear a lot of Spurs fans talking about what's that defender, the fastest one, the rapid one,
Van der Ven.
Yeah, like it. It's nice that Spurs have won something. I think Eric Dyer won an egg and spoon race last year. I don't know if that's in the trophy cabinet.
Mate, don't put Eric Dyer's name in the same sentence as Van der Ven. No, I mean, let's be fair. The squad, and this is as I've supported Spurs since we were kids, right? So 35, 40 years almost, right? And this squad that we're accumulating now is, I would say, I'll put it just under peak Poch squad. So when we had the likes of Kane, Son, Dele Alli, Eriksson, and so on, and Dembele. So, not Dembele, by the way. I'm talking about Moussa Dembele, not that write-off Dembele.
Waste of money.
Exactly. Yeah, record signing, by the way. So that shows that record signings don't always go the right way. But yeah, this squad is going to over the next few years. I think it's going to approach those levels. So I think we could be competing. A similar sort of journey to what Arsenal have taken under Arteta. So, I think if we stick with Ange, we stick with that style of play, we're going to be up there. Very excited, along with a lot of other Spurs fans.
Yeah, I think Arsenal fans are not as excited that you have got a good manager, and I think a lot of West Ham fans are the same. We'd kill for someone like Ange. We've got crappy Moyes, but hopefully not for long. Fingers crossed. But with Spurs as well, and again, come back to European football, do you think because I know, playing on a Wednesday or Thursday night, just having those midweek games, it's been spoken about in this show, but do you think that will really impact Spurs? Because I think last time you were in Europe, you finished 8th because that squad depth just wasn't there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If you don't have the squad depth, it absolutely affects you. I mean, even though we didn't have European football this year, we had an absolutely horrific injury crisis. Now, I know all teams have an injury crisis, but, look at the first 10 games under Spurs, right, with a full strength team. Won 8, drew 2 of the first 10, right? Then we had the Chelsea horror show, where we lost 4-2. But obviously during that game, we lost Van de Ven. We lost Maddison. Both of those players out 2.5 months. Romero out for 3 matches with suspension. And then we went into the AFCON and we lost Basuma and Sarr. All of these players out at the same time, by the way. And we lost Son to the Asia tournament, right? So that's corresponded with the massive dip in form that Spurs had after that 10-game run. Now what you're seeing is those players coming back. And this is what, again, looking at the Villa game, this is what a full-strength Spurs team can do to a team like Villa. Played them off the park, right? And even in the reverse fixture, which we lost, if you watch that game, we should have smashed Villa, right? I mean, it was a much more even game than the one we just played, but in terms of chances, shots on goal and whatnot, we played them off the park in that game as well. But Watkins popped up 2 goals, I think it was, on that game, and put us to the sword. But I think what you're seeing, going back to that point, is that we are starting to get our injuries back and get that depth of squad. So to give you an example, we lost Van de Ven in this game in the second half against Villa, and now we was able to bring on Dragishin. Again, another looks like an outstanding talent from the recruitment pool, who turned down Bayern Munich, by the way. I don't know if you remember that, but he turned down Bayern Munich for Spurs. So clearly knows something.
You mentioned a striker there. I mean, in Ollie Watkins, who is, he had a stinker yesterday, or didn't get a touch of the ball, so maybe didn't have a stinker. Spurs played well. I'll give him a bit of credit, but I definitely think he's the backup striker to Kane. But talking of Spurs strikers, could Ange turn Werner into a half-decent player?
A half-decent player, absolutely. Yeah. But it depends what you want, right? If you want to go for the big guns, if you want to go after the likes of City, Liverpool, and then look, you need to think big, right? And Werner's going to get you to a certain level, sort of West Ham level, but you're not going to be able to push on with Werner as your your striker or your attacking winger. In my opinion, look, he's a great squad player, and he'll do good things for you in a squad in rotation. But if you want to go for the big prizes, you need the elite players at the top of the pitch. And goals change games, right?
Yeah, and I know the managers play a big part in that. When you look at the Arsenals, the Liverpool, and Cities, obviously all great managers there. With Klopp leaving Liverpool, do you think there's a space there for Spurs to push on and challenge for the title?
Well, it's the big unknown, isn't it? I mean, Klopp has been outstanding for Liverpool. Pretty much everything he's touched has turned to gold during his tenure. So, look, the jury's out. Let's see who comes in. Xabi Alonso looks like it's a strong candidate, strong possibility. Looks like he might win the Bundesliga in his first season in charge. So that's a strong signal, but could also be a false indicator, right? He's won the Bundesliga. Yes, he's done well. He's got the team playing well, but the Premiership is a different animal. Much faster, I would say, much more competitive in the sense of there's top 12, top 14 teams can take points off each other easily on any given day. So yeah, let's see who comes in. Let's see what he does. Let's see what their style of play is going to be next season. But of course, look, everybody must be looking at Klopp leaving, and everybody looking at Klopp leaving must be thinking, right, there's an opportunity there, perhaps a gap to open up.
Yeah. So where does Tottenham need to improve?
I think it's just a case of sticking with Ange. I think it's a case of getting over the blips that there'll be in this style of play. We are going to probably get a tonking on a few occasions because we do play a very high line. And maybe 1 or 2 acquisitions in the summer window. I would like to see some elite signings. Personally, I'd like to see Isak. I'd like to see them put a massive bid in for Newcastle. Probably going to take 80 million bid or plus in order to take Isak. But we've got to be thinking long term, right? Son is 31, coming at 32, I think. He's probably got 2 more years left in the tank at the top level, given that he plays particularly on his pace. So we've got to be thinking longer term planning and look for a replacement. I don't think Richie's the answer. He's a good player. He's, again, going back to that point I made about Werner. If you want to compete with the big guns, you need your strikers to be 20 plus goals a season, and you need more than one.
Yeah. Be signing Jared Bowen. He's a good player.
I don't think West Ham are selling to us, but yeah, I'll take Bowen. I mean, I rate him very highly. I think he's a great player.
Is there, if you could take one player out of Arsenal, who would you take?
That's a good question. I tend not to watch too many of the games. Obviously, look, Saka. He looks the real deal, doesn't he? Let's be fair to the kid. Great player. Who else? Obviously Rice, great player, but I think we've kind of got like replacement in Basuma for Rice. The goalkeeper, I wouldn't switch him for Vicario. Again, Vicario looks very, very solid. So yeah, Saka is the obvious choice for me. Yeah.
And if you were, or do you think that you'll qualify for the Champions League this year? Do you think Villa will let it slide?
I think Villa are in a bit of trouble. They've got a few players out, and that McGinn, right? We can't really let this pass without talking about that McGinn horror show tackle that he did on Udogie. Straight red, no qualms there. So he's going to be missing. Very influential player for Villa. He's out for the next 3 games. And they're still competing in Europe, so they're going to struggle a little bit. It's back in our hands now because we've got a game in hand. We're 2 points behind Villa. So look, if we concentrate on our games, win our games, then yes. Will we do it? It's a coin toss because we've got all of the big guns to play. So yeah, let's see how it pans out. I think we will do it. Fourth or fifth seems like the obvious choices. Then it will depend on whether we get an extra spot under the coefficient rules, which I think is again on a knife edge at the moment.
Yeah. And the last question to you, I know, I think it's your next game against Arsenal, or is that the one after the international break?
Our next game is Fulham, I think. So
it is. Yeah, I should know that. I'm going to that game. So yeah, I'm going to that one. Fulham at home. I'll be wearing a Fulham shirt for that one.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you got a ticket in the Fulham end then.
I've been comped. I'm doing hospitality, luckily. So it's not what you know, it's who you know, and all that. A few free beers. So yeah, but your match against Arsenal. What are your thoughts on that one? I'm going to bring Lewis back in to discuss this one as well.
Yeah, bring him in. What are you saying, Lewis?
I'm back. What am I saying?
What are you saying about the result?
I'll be upset if we don't beat you.
Well, clearly, I mean, it's one of those games, right? There's a lot riding on it. It's going to be a massive game. It's going to be whoever plays best on the day. Let's be honest. I thought we played really well against Arsenal earlier in the season at their place. I thought we probably edged that game, but I mean, Arsenal fans will think differently. But look, we're back to full strength now. I think we've played to our qualities. We will create chances, right? Under Ange, it's a given. I think we're now 39 games consecutively scoring, which is second ever in the Prem, only to, I think Arsenal got their 45 or something matches. But so look, we get goals, but we also concede goals. So yeah, it's going to be whoever turns up on the day on that one.
Yeah, 100%, and it's going to be everyone's going to be up for it. Interestingly, you say how many goals you score at the moment. Something we didn't touch on earlier. Arsenal's defence at the moment is obviously the best it's been for a long time. So hopefully we can just absorb the pressure you're going to put on us, and then use that weak defence of yours to our advantage. Hopefully.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll have a little bit. We'll have a few conversations on the chat about
game.
Brilliant, boys. Thank you very much for that. Well, that's it all. That's all for tonight's show. Don't forget to add your predictions into the chat. Obviously, it's a rollover. So next week, we'll be dishing out 40 quid. Unless it's a rollover again, then it's 60. But hopefully, yeah, we'll find a winner next week. So thanks all for watching, and we'll see you all
Come
back
on, you
here.
Spurs.
Nah, sod off. Spurs. Get out of it. I'm going to get the UN. Okay. Right. Lewis, we can agree. Piss off, Spurs.
Yeah, no, I agree. I told you shouldn't never have a Spurs fan on here. He's gonna
I know. Yeah, I know. Terrible. But no, thanks everyone for coming. Get your comments in, and we'll see you back here next Monday at 8 o'clock.
See you, mate.